Alright, BP here with a interesting match I had a couple of days before the beta ended. Protoss versus Protoss. I'm in red, he's in blue, playing on Scrapyard, which you can see is a giant U-shaped map here in the mini-map. Gold expansion at the south. Two relatively closely placed bases if you were to traverse the gap via air. Otherwise, it's a bit of a long, arduous run here if you're to run troops all the way up and around to the other person's base. My opponent here is setting up a gateway and an assimilator. I have mine up as well, but no assimilator running. I'll go ahead and fast forward this a little bit here so we can get towards the bulk of the action. Kind of an interesting fight. I decided to tech up early two Dark Templars versus my opponent just pushing out with a large timed push. He's got a probe here that we can see is scouting out, and will actually drop a proxy pylon here just outside my front door where he will start warping in troops later on. Got my second gateway that's coming online, and he is chrono boosting his warp gate research. I like to chrono boost my warp gate research as it really increases the speed at which you can pump out units from your gateways. I'm a bit slow here in this game. Again, I'm not saying I'm excellent at this game. I like to have some fun, but I'm by no means a pro gamer. Some of these guys that play this game are just way too good. I do go for two assimilators early on. You see I only have about 20 food supply currently. Probe and zealot count is about the same. He's got one, I've got one. Kind of the boring mid-early game that you're seeing now. We're only 4.5 minutes into it, and you can see that we've both got one stalker, one zealot. Pretty much evenly paced at this point in the game. This proxy pylon is something that I haven't scouted out. In fact, I didn't do much scouting at all. I know the proximity of the bases on the map, so I was going for a bit of a gamble here and dropping over some troops, in particular Dark Templar. So my warp gate research is about halfway through, and his is just about done. And he's cranking out some more units here. Still only one gas, so you can tell he's not planning on making anything that's too gas heavy. I've got my pylon out here, and I crank out a robotics facility first. No robo over here, and even though I haven't scouted it, I'm kind of going on the gut instinct that most Protoss players, if you can time it right, you can catch them without the observer out, especially if they're going for an early timed mass push at my front door like this guy is. You can see here that's two stalkers, two zealots, pretty evenly matched, and he's moving forward, probably over towards his pylon here. That's where he will start massing his troops up. My warp gate technology finally comes online, as does my robotics facility. At this point I start cranking out zealots as opposed to stalkers. I'm trying to keep my gas reservoir full here so I can crank out this dark shrine which you see building, and some Dark Templar which are really gas heavy. In fact, most Protoss units seem to be a bit gas heavy. So we can see that his army is starting to look kind of scary. 4 zealots, 4 stalkers to my 4 and 2. But I do have a warp prism online, and he will be going over to pay a visit soon. Yep, there we go. I like to queue up positionings to scout things out before I get to my destination, but he will end up here. And we're looking at a pretty sizable army at my front door here, as he's been warping in troops. Yep, there's some more as he warps in a couple more stalkers. And he will push in with this force here. Pretty scary force compared to my weak greeting party here. He outnumbers my stalkers by 6, and my dark shrine is not yet online. And what we'll see here is he pushes in, and I do my best to fend off the attack, while my dark shrine just barely makes it in, and I quickly warp in a couple of Dark Templars on his side of the base. And here's where it gets interesting. I've obviously overreached and teched too fast. I got dudes all in my front door, just destroying my buildings. But I also have my 2 in his base. So we can see here, his shit pushes in. I get one last Dark Templar off before he kills my Dark Shrine, and this Dark Templar here is going to be the hero unit of the game. Alright, let's finish this up. Now, before the power surge I just had, there's a storm brewing overhead, so I'm going to try to wrap this fraps up here. We've got one last Dark Templar in my base, fending off the masses that are just pummeling my probes and my nexus. Meanwhile, I have 2 Dark Templar in his base, working on his buildings as well. He warps in the last of his units here at his proxy pylon, and just goes to town on my stuff. I've got nothing left online. Absolutely nothing. He goes over here to check and see if I have an expansion. He's not quite figuring out why I'm just letting him destroy my base. But I still have my trusty Dark Templar here, and he's already racked up 8 kills. And I'm working on his base over here as well. He tries to lead my attackers out with his probes, but I just go back to work on his nexus. And at this point, it's basically a race to see who can kill off the other person's base. And really, I should lose this game. Clearly outmassed. There's way more units, but just the fact that he has no observer means that he has to take the damage that I'm dishing out here. As I whittle down his remaining troops here. This Dark Templar is already up to 16 kills. Will be 17 here in a second, and these other 2 are making quick work of his buildings. I mean, just look at the damage these guys do to buildings. They hit for 45 each. Just really ridiculous. I've had 3 of these completely demolish a nexus like that. I mean, you can go in there and just tactically wipe out somebody's nexus. No problem. Trying to figure out what he's doing with these. I guess he's looking for more expansions to see if I have other stuff hidden elsewhere. And I basically just protect my one last building with 1 Dark Templar, who has at this point racked up 16 kills as he chases this guy down the street. At this point, I'm taking my warp prism, looking around the map, just trying to see if I can spot any more of his troops and or buildings as I finish off his buildings. So here I am, 1 Dark Templar, 18 kills, just protecting my one last surviving building from any onslaught as I clean up his. So kind of a fun game, definitely a tense game. You know, it's a bit of a gamble when you rush tech like this. In this case, it paid off. It was a close one. I don't think I'd want to try it again. And here I'm flying around, just making sure I keep an eye out on his zealot so he doesn't try to. Okay, and there's the GG. So, a fun one, definitely a close one. Little Protoss versus Protoss action, and you can see some really fun Dark Templar action. This guy ended up with 18 kills, and my other 2, 19, and where's the other one? 10 apiece. So yeah, 3 Dark Templar versus an army, and victorious. So, this is Hefte, otherwise known as BP. Hope you guys enjoyed the replay.